Hello there.
Welcome back to another episode of Star Wars in the Galaxy, watching all the Star Wars we can get our hands on. I'm Eli.
I'm Jacob.
And today we are talking KOTOR 2 again, but we are in person. It's so great. Jacob and I just recorded the first 10 minutes of our episode before realizing we were muted, so we don't have that much to catch up on, but this is episode 214, season 26, episode 2. Jacob, carry on. Go ahead with our summary. Second time. I swear this one is being recorded, I think.
All right, so what we need to know to get up to speed in minute 45 to the hour and a half mark of the Knights of the Old Republic 2 all cutscenes super montage by Fair Play on YouTube. We open still on the Paragus station, or rather on the Harbinger, which is docked to the Paragus station. Kreia tells Atton and Meetra to save themselves and that she will face Sion alone. Meetra convinces Atton to go back into the Paragus station via the fuel line, and he reluctantly agrees to do so. Sion badly wounds Kreia in their fight, and he severs her hand. Of course, Meetra feels this in the form of excruciating pain through their force bond. Meanwhile, Meetra and Atton do manage to find T3M4, and the four of them, Atton, Kreia, Meetra, and T3, manage to escape into hyperspace aboard the Ebon Hawk. While in hyperspace, they have a few lengthy conversations. Kreia explains that they have to go to Telos, this planet that Meetra was exiled from the Jedi Order. By the war's end, less than 100 Jedi remained from the Jedi Civil War. A whole bunch of important context for this story, and that she sees, we get her view that Meetra is on or about to be on this sort of prophetic path of destiny of being the final Jedi who will, rally the remaining forces of light together to face the Sith. And even then, it may not be enough to defeat the darkness that is rising across the galaxy. They eventually do arrive on Telos, where they are immediately detained by the Telos Security Force for the destruction of the Paragus mining facility, which they are not responsible for that, but whatever. How does the TSF know that? An assassin almost immediately infiltrates the TSF detainment prison and tries to kill Meetra to collect the Exchange's bounty on Jedi, but Meetra defeats this assassin in a fight, at which point the TSF forces enter and take the prisoners to an apartment for house arrest. At this point, Meetra is visited by an Ithorian named Moza, who is visiting on behalf of Chobo Habat, the leader of the Planetary Eco Restoration Project, the Ithorian Eco Restoration Project. He is also visited by Jana Lorse of the Zerka Corporation. The Zerka Corporation and Eli, not a fan. The Zerka Corporation and the Ithorian Eco Restorers are at odds. They're sort of two opposing factions. And in this playthrough, in the canonical version of events, which this playthrough does match up with, Meetra sides with the Ithorians and takes up with their cause to help restore the planet from the devastating ecological destruction that it underwent during the Jedi Civil War. At this point, the TSF clears Meetra and company of wrongdoing, but they're still stuck on the station until the Republic concludes their own investigation. They try to retrieve the Ebon Hawk, at which point they find out that it has been stolen out of custody, so they are now without ship, stuck on Telos. So Meetra goes to meet with Chobo Habat and agrees to recover a droid intelligence that has gone missing. During this search, a group of Exchange gunmen ambush them and attempt to kill the Ithorian Moza, but they are thwarted by Kreia. Meetra, and Atton. At which point Meetra and co. return to the Ithorian compound, where Meetra agrees to meet with the head of the Exchange on Telos on behalf of Chobo Habat to try and broker a peace deal to stop these assassination attempts. Kreia strongly disapproves of this, telling Meetra that they are too valuable, too important in the galactic story of what is to come to be caught up in the struggles of one planet. And that is what we are covering today.
So, Jacob and I we just got into it when we noticed
We just got into it.
It was a good time if there was any good time. They made Atton Rand having a bad feeling about this a gameplay feature, which is really funny that they made such a ubiquitous line in Star Wars into a gameplay mechanic.
Is this, I guess not canonically, but is this the first I have a bad feeling about this in the timeline, continuity-wise in
There's
Legends
probably
that we
in
know of?
KOTOR 1, but
You're probably right, yeah.
I'm almost certain we
Yeah.
brought that up in KOTOR 1. I can't imagine we didn't. Sion has begun to impress me. And let's talk about Sion in full, because we're not going to see him again for a while. Spoiler, it's going to be in a game about the Sith Lords, as its subtitle suggests. There's going to be a pretty long stretch in this game where we don't see any.
Yeah.
Or I should say any that we know of.
Yeah.
There may be some fuckery going on over there, but
I mean, it's not long for Sion in this section, but
yeah,
man, does he make an impression.
Man has aura. It's just the deal. Man has aura. He knows of all of the, like, not all of the Sith, because we still have Nihilus, whose aura is dripping out of the off of his, well, not body, whatever remains of his body. I love Nihilus. I have a Funko Pop of him back there. He's great. But Sion's turning me around. I wrote about this in my notes, and I'm gonna just read a little bit of verbatim just to get my thoughts out of the way about this.
All right, for sure.
I will begrudgingly admit that Sion's failure after all this time to accept that he can and should at some point die is a cautionary tale. I dislike it mostly because I'm still pretty uneasy with the constant resurrections and staving off of deaths in Star Wars. It just wasn't always this way. One could, I guess, call Force Ghosts a way of cheating death, but Force Ghosts aren't really alive, and they can only appear in a limited capacity, in addition to the limits of who can be one, which in canon I feel like is only in the single digits or maybe low doubles.
There's not many.
There are other fandoms, I'm specifically thinking of Marvel, that do constant resurrections of characters who have seemingly died, but it's a bit more baked into their franchises. Marvel Comics fans, for example, had this phrase that no one stays dead in Marvel except for Uncle Ben and Bucky Barnes, and then Marvel brought Bucky back as the Winter Soldier in the mid-2000s, the storyline of which would eventually be imitated in the MCU. The expectation is that characters would be brought back from the dead. But in Star Wars, that expectation is quite new. The first large example from my knowledge was Maul in 2012, which was just over a decade ago. I have softened my opinion some, mostly due to Thrawn's line of in Ahsoka Season 1, that after all, death and resurrection are common deception played out by both Night Sister and Jedi, which helped me settle with the idea that Lucasfilm is setting a precedent for a different threshold of death for highly Force-sensitive characters. However, I'd still be lying if I said I enjoyed the precedent set by Maul and shortly after by Gregor, even if the canon dark side resurrection tropes made thematic sense to me. For a long time, I viewed Sion as sort of a harbinger of the trope that Lucasfilm would fall into after the canon reset, which is really one of my only big issues with Disney's handling of the franchise, creatively speaking. And I still don't love it, but I'm slowly warming up to him a bit. And I'll admit that the refusal to let go of light trope with the dark side, as I mentioned before, makes thematic sense and lines up exceptionally well with the canon stories of Maul, Reva, the Grand Inquisitor, and even people like Lord Momin in the comics. I just talked there for a lot, so I want to get your thoughts on this hasn't necessarily been explained, but you know Sion's deal.
Yeah.
He is a warrior who refused to die. Just straight up refuses. His willpower in the dark side is such that you physically cannot kill him.
Yeah. I don't have as much of a I don't think I'm as cautious of it as you are. I agree with everything you said about, the new canon and kind of, since kind of starting with Maul and then really, accelerating with, Gregor and the sequel trilogy and Ahsoka and everything. Like, in recent years, there are so many examples of characters seemingly dying and trying to have that,
And it's funny
emotional payoff.
and it's
Only
funny
to be like,
because
psych, I'm actually alive,
because the one that everybody hates is the one I'm fine with.
which is
Palpatine. I'm totally fine. If anybody would have a way to return from the death, it would be Palpatine. And I was totally fine with that decision. And I really even liked the Boba Fett decision, which surprised no one more than me. And I've turned around on Maul. I still don't love the decision itself, but the stories it got us were
Yeah.
undeniably great, especially when you see Shadow Lord, which is exquisite. But like things like Greg, people always like skip over Gregor. I love that character. His sacrifice was meaningful, and then they took it the fuck back immediately when they wanted to.
Yeah. It's sort of like I think the point comes whenever you reach the point where you are seeing a character die and your thought is more, is this real? Is this a fake out? Are they going to come back? Is it going to be 30 minutes later? Is it going to be,
And fake out
3
deaths, I think,
years
are a
down the
little
line?
bit different. But yeah, but like specifically,
Yeah,
like,
but like when I think, and that's the point that I think Star Wars has to back itself down from at this point. It's not something I'm at all a fan of, because of course it just cheapens the emotional intensity of the moments that these stories are going for, and of the stories that they're trying to tell.
And again, as I said
Yeah.
with the Marvel Comics example, like you expect that with Marvel, and these are
Yeah.
different. It is a fundamentally, to me, like, even though Star Wars and comic book stories have a lot of similarities, they do,
They're different.
but they're fundamentally different at some levels.
Yeah.
And one of those is the results. And this is true with Star Wars, and I have something else about this later in this game, in my notes for this section, actually. The results are even less certain in comics, I think, or less uncertain in comics than in Star Wars, where in comics, the good guys win a disproportionate amount of the time.
Yeah.
To the point where it's become not really about that anymore. It's not about, like, comics, this happens with, and then Star Wars this happened with too, but like, we'll talk about a line that Kreia says later about one of the only things she said that I've agreed with her with so far, about it being about the journey, not about the destination. And that's what it is. It's not about whether Captain America or Thor or the Hulk or the Avengers or the X-Men win in comics. It's about what happens to them while they're figuring out how to do so.
Yeah.
And Star Wars has a lot of that, although, we're branching out. The Acolyte, Shadow Lord have broken ground in terms of that. They don't all, like, sometimes the villains win, and then Bad Batch, Rogue One, sometimes the heroes don't win. But, like, most of the time, the heroes win. But it's not about that. You're not on the edge of your seat about will they win. I don't think anybody truly expected a first order victory coming out of episode, or a final order victory coming out of episode 9. But it wasn't about that. It was about what happened to these characters and how their journeys progressed.
Yeah.
So that's why.
Well, I just think that in this case, I think it makes sense. Sion.
Yeah.
This is a time of legends and myths and power and horrors and feats of force wielding beyond the comprehension of people who would be living, even Jedi perhaps, who would be living in the Twilight of the Republic era thousands of years later. We have the Star Forge. You have these unbelievable power being wielded by people turned into crazy weapons. Why shouldn't there be a guy who literally refuses to die because he's too angry and in too much pain? So in terms of, as the story goes on, you're more familiar with it than I am. Maybe there'll be moments where more of the death and coming back thing applies here, but I feel like from what I've seen, I'm not too worried about it.
I'm going to say this. I am pretty hazy on this game post Telos. After we get off Telos, I know some of the major plot beats and I know how this game ends, but I wouldn't tell you I'm super reliable on a lot of stuff.
Okay.
I know exactly the TSF, Chota Habat, the Zerka. When we were watching that, I'm like, yep, got it. It's again, I've played this game before all the way through, but it's been a while, and I'm still hazy on everything that happens post Telos. Maybe a little bit after we get to the next planet. Or shut up. Anyway,
Fair enough.
But
fair enough.
that was
We'll
a
see
weird
what
cough. But I told you about his voice. I told you about his fucking voice.
I sense you, my master. Faint, weak.
It was an awesome and their sort
Louis
of
Mallet's
reunion. It was
my
awesome.
guy. What a voice. Like,
Yeah.
so of course we first learn that Kreia had some part in training Sion,
Yes.
which should raise some eyebrows.
Maybe so. Yeah.
And I also really love that we get like, because you probably thought of the same thing I thought of when we first when you first saw them in that hallway, right?
Which was
Ben Vader.
oh yeah. All right. I see it. Yeah.
We meet again, the all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I've been
I mean, there definitely is like
I've been
the
waiting for you,
master,
Obi-Wan.
yeah,
the master and apprentice,
yeah.
Dynamic.
And I
that
think it's
the-
such a great way to show us that, instantly have us think about it, but like go completely different. Because first of all, it's at the beginning of the story instead of in Act 2.
Yeah.
Second of all, it's not a sacrifice. She loses a hand and then she's good to go.
Yeah.
And I'm stretching when I say good to go, but
Yeah.
she loses her hand and that's all that happens to her.
Yeah.
I mean,
she's
other
not
than Meetra having the
Yeah.
feeling of losing a hand,
Yeah.
which we'll talk about as well.
Well, she's not a Ben figure. There's more to her. She's more there's a darkness, obviously.
Yeah. And I mean
You just get the sense that
I mean a Ben figure
more
as
than
in an
enough.
archetype, not
Yeah,
actually
sure, yeah.
comparing her to Ben Kenobi, because I would hate to compare one of my favorite characters in Star Wars to somebody who goes against everything I think Star Wars should be. Anyway, we're gonna get to that. That's where we are.
After all that has happened, still you live. You are difficult to kill.
I love that even
a great
Sion
line.
is annoyed by Kreia. Like, he's a Dark Lord of the Sith, and he's still like,
Yeah.
this
Isn't that
asshole.
kind of the pot calling the kettle black though? If that's Sion's whole shtick.
the
I
more
can't
difficult
die.
to-
I'm too angry.
Yeah, but like Sion can't die because
Yeah.
he's made the conscious choice not to. Kreia can't die because she's a slippery little motherfucker. There's a difference. Kreia.
Yeah. She
If
didn't make
Sion-
it. She didn't make it her whole thing.
If Sion refuses to die, Kreia refuses to be held accountable for like anything.
Mm.
And we'll get
see
that
about that, yeah.
theme as more and more into the game. So I shouldn't have written that in my notes because that was a spoiler. But I didn't realize we were going to be recording together, and so I wrote things that I said.
I haven't seen anything.
I said
Haven't seen
Jacob's going to
anything.
have
I'm
a.
good.
I said Jacob
good.
in my notes. I said Jacob's going to have a field day when he realizes that blank.
Whatever you're talking about, I haven't seen it. We can keep it that way.
Yep, we're
I'll-
keeping it
I'll
that
look
way.
at
I
my
scrolled
eyes.
down. You can't see it.
All right.
Um,
Good.
Another subversion here. The mentor figure instead of our protagonist loses a hand. So
Yeah. Oh yeah.
we have
Yeah,
that
yeah.
little
Yeah.
subversion right there. It is interesting, and again, I know this is video game logic a little bit, but like it is very interesting that like she loses her hand, and then when Kreia asks, when Meetra asks her about it later, she's like, "Nah, fine."
That's
Like,
cool.
you just
She's
lost
totally-
a hand.
I mean, she's totally fine. She's totally fine until she gets tired of talking to Atton. Then she's like, "My injuries.
I'm
they pain me.
tired.
Let me retire to my quarters."
I'm tired, you guys. I'm tired. Oh, shut the fuck up. Anyway, I'm gonna be.
She is.
I'm
she
going
is,
to be telling a video game character to shut the fuck up, and probably an excessive amount of times in this episode. I'm
more
just
than
warning everybody.
more or less than Bodakuna though.
I would take Bode 7 days a week and twice on Sundays before I'd look at Kreia.
This is coming from the guy whose catchphrase for a whole year was "fuck Bodekuna."
It was
So
a good catchphrase.
It was a portrayal because he was fun to hang out with before that.
Yes, it was.
Kreia is never fun to hang out with. That I do
No.
understand.
No,
That I do understand.
Literally so this is something that's a gameplay thing that's not shown in here. So you can trend towards the light side or the dark side like you can in the first KOTOR game.
Is there like a fit, or is there like a tangible meter, or does it just sort of?
There
Like
is
a
a
game
meter. It's
contracts
less
with
like
it.
in the Mass Effect games. It's which are very similar in these ways.
You're like,
There are
Yeah.
specific amounts of points.
Hmm.
There probably are specific amounts of points in the KOTOR games, but you can't see them. But what you do have is a light to dark meter where like other characters are fixed. So like Jolie in the first game would be like here in the gray section, and Canderous would be here in the dark section, and Bastila would be here in the light section, and all that kind of stuff. But the player character can fluctuate depending on what decisions they make. In addition, you can also, in this game, not in the first game, gain and lose influence with certain characters, making them more or less amenable to doing what you say.
okay, that makes sense.
And there's like, it's kind of off meme that basically whatever you do loses influence with Kreia, because that woman cannot like be reasoned with. So yeah, they got to the Hawk, they found T3, we're good to go. Jump to hyperspace, super classic Star Wars motif that we got, like, you know, you know,
100%, yeah.
all that kind of all that
After
good stuff.
A very exciting asteroid belt chase.
Yeah, in which the Paragus mining station gets destroyed because it was frankly a powder keg. Like, what did you think was going to happen?
It was a powder keg in an asteroid belt where every single asteroid belt is like
another powder keg.
every single asteroid belt is like 50 powder kegs tied together
Like,
and dipped in dynamite.
like I don't know
into
why
nukes.
everybody was so surprised on Telos when Paragus exploded, given that like that mining station was a bomb. It was just a bomb.
I guess they didn't expect a 2x Jedi to like come through and just sow chaos everywhere. In their
Yeah.
path.
Although it's
But there you
weird
go.
because it's never made clear if the Telosian government knows that Meetra is a Jedi. They don't ever say either way. It's very weird.
I'm trying to think. I just watched it. I'm trying to think if anyone ever refers to her as Jedi. The assassin. What does the assassin say? He says like a one.
The assassin
one
knows
broken,
that
one broken Jedi and one like.
and an old woman and
Yeah.
and this
So
fucker over here
think
with
though
that.
most people maybe don't know that she's a Jedi.
But the people from the exchange do. So
because they want them. They want them both.
I mean, not Kreia. I don't think they have any idea about Kreia. I don't think they care about Kreia because she's just some old woman. What could she possibly do? Spoiler. She could possibly do a lot. But they don't know anything about Kreia because she's so easy for them to overlook.
Yeah.
And she hasn't been with the Jedi for longer than Meetra. Let's just say that. I won't spoil anything else for you, but longer. Sion, we find out, seized the Harbinger, and then on the same ship went back to Paragus just to kill Meetra, which is dedication. I'll give him that.
Seize the bridge.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, look, dedication is what this guy's all about.
truly. I mean, like all of the Sith Triumvirate are dedicated in different ways. It's just to what? Sion's actually really the only one whose dedication is to the destruction of the Jedi. Of the three, he's really the only one. Kreia will understand her motivation. Nihilus, motivation is very simple. He has a strict and strong dedication to one thing and one thing only: eat. His first priority is eat. His second priority is eat. Priorities 3 through 50 also eat.
That's what I can appreciate.
I mean, my man, like, you know, Sion's the Lord of Pain. Kreia, if you remember, the Lord of Betrayal.
But for a classic Star Wars naming, about as subtle as a sledgehammer.
Really, really damn good. What's
Yeah, that's
Nihilus?
right.
Do you remember?
Lord of Hunger.
The Lord of Hunger.
The ceaseless craving.
Eat. Brain
Eat.
force. Annihilate.
Those are all.
Those are all the galaxy.
Dude, did you remember back when, like, okay, for some reason they put Nihilus in the game, like
way before Sion and Kreia.
like 2 years before the other ones in the game, and like he was a beast back in the day. Like,
And you know what the funny part is?
You didn't want to go against him in
Those
arena.
are all of the KOTOR 2 characters they added. Meetra's not in there. Atton's not in there.
Didn't they add isn't Canderous in there though?
KOTOR 1.
Oh, Canderous is KOTOR 1, damn.
Well, we'll see about that. But anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they could have had more.
they didn't add Atton. They didn't add Baeodur, who we'll meet soon. They didn't add. I mean, Godo would be tricky to add. Oh no, Visas. Visas was the other one. Vsauce. Vsauce Mar here.
Also, they added the KOTOR 2 characters. They added the Sith Triumvirate before they added KOTOR 1, right?
That's not. Wait.
They added not. Well, at least I know they
added
Nihilus
Nihilus
first.
before. I think.
Maybe not actually.
No, I think you're right. I think you might be right
no.
about that.
Yeah, no, I
That's
think
crazy.
they added late.
They added Nihilus and Kreia and Sion before they added Brevin, Bastila, Jolie, Mission, Zalbar, and T3 and Karth.
Yeah.
I mean, good thing I put Karth last for a reason, because he is the KOTOR 2 character in a group of KOTOR 1 characters.
Wait, Karth or Canderous?
Karth.
Karth.
Karth is the KOTOR 2 character.
Okay, there we go.
In a band of KOTOR 1 characters. Boring and forgettable.
Confusion there. All right.
Anyway.
Yeah. So a lot of this episode, are we ready for the hyperspace?
We got into hyperspace already. Like
Okay.
that's more of this episode than I thought it was going to be, honestly.
A lot of this episode is like sitting and talking in hyperspace.
With Kreia and Atton, which I think is good, because we need to know these characters, because we're going to be spending a lot of time with them, unfortunately. Very early on, we find out that the next planet we're going to is Telos 4, which is where the Harbinger was headed anyway. So, they might as well, I guess.
I mean, Kreia is dead set.
Kreia is dead set for reasons.
Yeah. I mean, Telos, by the way, in ancient Greek,
I did see this while we were doing research. And stuff.
An ultimate end, purpose, goal, or final purpose. So,
which is funny that it's the
again,
first planet that we go to instead of the final one.
10 out of 10 Star Wars naming, 10 out of 10 subtlety. But yeah, I mean, I like the hyperspace part a lot, because we really start to understand or think we understand what Kreia is about. She has her whole spiel about not just the important context, the Jedi Civil War, less than 100 Jedi remaining, falling to Revan's teachings, the Jedi Temples have fallen. I think obviously there's some foreshadowing of Kreia kind of starting to hint at, like, oh, the Force and the Jedi have this weird relationship where she's tolerating Atton.
We'll get there.
Because she thinks that if Atton wasn't around, there'd be no hope of the Jedi standing up.
There'd be no reasonable one around, which expecting Atton to be the reasonable one is her first mistake.
Like, it's interesting, the idea that, like, the Jedi are the Force, the Jedi, they live the Force. And to Kreia, that's a negative thing.
It's a weakness.
It's a weakness.
And
it's an over-reliance.
And we'll get there. We're gonna get there, because most of that conversation is actually the thing you're thinking of. I'm pretty sure
conflating it
is on Telos.
Okay, we'll get there. So
when they're under house arrest, but we have this quote that I picked out from Kreia in hyperspace. True, but as one trained in the Force, you know that true coincidences are rare, which is supposed to be a callback to Obi-Wan's. In my experience, there's no such thing as luck, I think.
It's a great quote. Kreia,
but let me get this straight, Kreia. Yeah. You want to destroy the thing that you still rely on this much. Like, Kreia is stunner, a fucking hypocrite. She is relentlessly, whether she knows it or not, using the Force to get her closer to her goal of destroying the Force.
I don't know if that's being hypocritical, though. Like, she's using the tools she has at her disposal. Like, she clearly doesn't like it, but I think I would imagine that she would say, yo, I'm working with what I've got. And to her credit, like, maybe she was just trying to be super manipulative and I don't know, play some sort of long game. But in the asteroid belt, she even said, like, blow up the asteroid belt, see if we die. Like, do it for the greater good. I'm ready. Like, she appears unafraid to die. So I feel like for that reason,
am
her
I. Anyway,
dedication to her cause is like a little bit less.
But it's
worthy
also
of
just like,
reproach.
and we know this too. And this is where my problems with her, and again, I'm gonna pace this out because we haven't really gotten
Okay.
much into her character.
Yeah.
Going to Luke in TLJ is, I think, very important with this. What is the first thing that will when in his first lesson to Rey, he says, "Well, what do you think the Force is?" And Rey says, "The Force is a power you have that lets you control people and make things float." And what's the first correction he makes? No, the Force isn't a power. But Kreia seems to be treating it like it is. The Force, to me, is life. It is like we know that within cells in the Star Wars galaxy, of every person, now how many? Now this varies, but still, in every person in the Star Wars galaxy, there are midichlorians.
Yeah.
Midichlorians are the things that allow anybody to connect with the Force. Now, how many or how few there are in you depends.
Yeah.
And you can still connect to the full Force to a degree, even if you have a low amount of midichlorians. But I believe it's Qui-Gon who says this in TCW. Without midichlorians, no life. So Kreia does not know that.
Yeah.
I'd have to assume she doesn't know that.
About midichlorians.
About the whole, if you destroy the Force, you're destroying life.
Mm.
She just can't know that and
Yeah.
still believe that, and still believe in what she believes. But
Yeah.
whether or not she believes it doesn't make it less true.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, it's
Fair
we're gonna talk about this more, and I don't want to open up a huge conversation about it now, just because we haven't gotten into the meat and potatoes of her arguments.
Yeah.
We barely get into the skins of the potatoes in on Telos, so I don't want to jump our gun with this. But
yeah, she's pretty crazy though.
Yeah,
so simultaneously extremely sort of extremely nihilistic, and yet also very
she's
prophetic, and at least of what we know of her now, obsessed with destiny.
I've heard
Meetra's destiny.
I heard once, I believe this was friend of the show, Alden Diaz, quoting some comic book writer, or I think this was an idea in some comic, where the Joker was not insane. The Joker was super sane. The Joker was so sane in a world that thrived on insanity.
Mm.
And I think Kreia may have a little bit of that in her, while also just being an uptight asshole who really the number of times that Kreia goes into any situation in this game assuming that she is better than every single person she is interacting with.
Mhm.
If I had
Tiny.
$1 for every time that happened,
You'd be filthy rich.
I'd be very rich. I would be. It's a. We'll talk about we'll talk about this, and this actually came up in the Ninth Jedi series that just released, where people talk in the fandom about this idea of a gray Jedi.
Yeah.
A gray Jedi doesn't exist. Never has, never will. Somebody being gray in the Force, I mean, you can try, but everybody's forced to pick a side when the rubber hits the road.
Mm-hmm.
And more often than not, those who proclaim they are gray will choose the dark.
Mm-hmm.
It's quicker, easier, more seductive, all that shit, all that jazz. And even if people don't realize while they're gray that they're picking the dark, they are. So it's an interesting dynamic that I'm sure we'll talk about more. One last thing I want to talk about, Atton, I wrote in my notes in all caps, Atton, don't say shit to T3, who is a bedrock of this franchise far more than you will ever be. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, straight up droidism, man. That was not cool.
And T3,
He's like,
T3,
bro.
like, what's unlikable about T3? T3 is great.
Dude, Atton's just not nice, man. He's just not a nice guy sometimes, you know? I will say though, don't stop your long, boring rants on my account. I was just getting sleepy-eyed. That's kind of hard. But Kreia's response is even better. Also in private, we'll be mercifully free from the opinions of imbeciles and fools.
The only time
they're on point here. They're in form.
The only time I like Atton Rand is when he's dissing Kreia. The only time I like Kreia is when she's dissing Atton Rand.
So who would you like if you had to pick one?
Atton.
You pick Atton over Kreia.
Every day of the week.
Fair enough. I feel like I have a sense of where Kreia might be heading. Obviously, I
don't think you do, but
maybe I don't. I don't know. Like I'm assuming that Darth Treya is ahead of us. Maybe I'm completely wrong. I don't see how it couldn't be ahead of us, but I will withhold judgment.
Kreia is, and I mean this with no gender inflected meaning, like intended to this. Yeah. Kreia is the galactic definition of a messy bitch. That she is so messy. She gets shit. She gets involved in shit that she really has no right to. Like, she's one of. Actually, there is one person who's a messier bitch than Kreia, which is Revan. Revan in the Old Republic era is a messy ass bitch.
Fair enough.
Motherfucker lives like 400 years. I was talking with friend of the show, Jared the Dark Jedi, the other night, and we were just like, how long do Revan and Vichy live in the Old Republic? Did they ever die?
Too damn long.
And for both of them, the answer is yes. But Revan lives like 400 years in the Old Republic. Vichy, it's up there in like just under 1500. It's just like, what the fuck is going on?
The answer is too damn
long. Like for those who accuse Dave Filoni of always going back to Ahsoka and his favorite characters and all that kind of stuff, I'm not even saying that you're necessarily wrong. I'm just saying
it could be worse.
Revan and the over-reliance of Revan and and Vitiate in the Old Republic blows Dave Filoni's attachment to Ahsoka out of the fucking water. It's so much worse. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
We learned that through a dialogue option that Meetra didn't leave the Jedi Order; they were exiled from it. Hence the moniker, the Jedi Exile.
I feel like that's a pretty big revelation.
It is, although you knew that already. So.
We knew that from the name, but like, the plot is thickening, which is cool.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know. I like the way that, you know, in a Star Wars fashion, in the, you know, mythological fashion, I like the way we're sort of starting to stack up, you know, layers of prophecy, of legend,
what are we doing?
Destiny.
What are we doing?
Building up the layers so that we can
really doing it in that direction.
We're building up the layers so that we can peel back the layers.
There we go. We're back, baby.
All right,
we're back. So,
anyways,
and anything you want to bring up from these from these conversations with Mr. Rand and Miss Holier Than Thou?
I mean, I feel like we covered it. I will say as well, we did. I guess we talked about this. But bro, Atton is on Nasty Man watch. They're in the cockpit, and he is straight. He's, if I had my way, we'd be going to the red district on Archada. We know what that means, Atton. All right, you're not slick. He's not trying to be.
This man mentions not once but twice that he wants to go to Nar Shaddaa, which is like the shithole of the galaxy.
Yeah.
Like, dude, of all the places to insist over and over again to go, you're choosing Nar Shaddaa?
Dude, it's like It's like Vegas, but worse and less glitzy.
It's like it's a
I mean,
fucking
look,
scum.
I mean,
like
look.
we know in Legends, and this is true in canon too, but Legends highlights Marshall a little bit more than canon has so far. We know empires rise and fall, Jedi orders and Sith battle for dominance for thousands of years. Nar Shaddaa will constantly remain a place for the shittiest people in the galaxy to do the shittiest things in the galaxy.
Yeah. He wants to go to Nar Shaddaa, but not before telling Meetra that he implies that he would probably
bang.
He would probably he's like, Kreia, look, she's super annoying
30 years ago.
but I would probably smash if she wasn't like 150.
Which
super creepy.
Which I just wrote in my notes.
Well.
Atton, you fucking perv. Like, Jesus Christ, man.
He's like, no, we gotta go. I'm
gonna throw her out the airlock, but 30 years ago,
yeah,
would bang.
Yeah,
like,
30 years ago, but now we gotta kill her in cold blood, so we can.
We gotta avenge her.
We can kill her in cold blood, so we can go.
Which
to
I do
evil,
happen to agree with, but that's not the point.
But then he wants to go to evil space Vegas, so he can presumably drink and whore and gamble and do all that.
do all that stuff. And he will get his wish, unfortunately. But you know.
Oh boy, this doesn't become like a GTA strip club situation, does it?
No, why would you say? I'm joking. It doesn't. Of course, it doesn't.
Okay, good. I was just making sure. Like,
dude, it's a Star Wars game.
Look, man, it's the early 2000s. It was a weird time.
It was a weird time.
There was some fucked up stuff happening that was super normalized in pop culture.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not denying that. And there's some interesting things that happen in this game, but no, of course not. They're not doing that. We're not going to see, you know, like.
Yeah. Also, this game was, as you reminded me, Eli, this game was unfinished when it came out because it was rushed. The release was rushed to be Christmas holiday 2004.
Yeah.
To follow up on the smashing wild
Knights of the Old Republic
critical acclaim, all that. So while he's talking about all this stuff and like making like weird sexual comments about Kreia and all this stuff, he's typing at like a control panel that just doesn't exist. He's just sitting there like he's like, yeah.
That might be a loading error. It also might just be
it could be a loading
2000s games and all that kind of stuff.
Regardless,
the
unfinishedness, it's the game showing its
the unfinishedness of the game. I think has less to do with the actual like.
You think it's about
shimmer
the
and shine? I think that they were going to do. I think they had a more ambitious plan for the story that they had to pare down to meet deadlines.
Fair.
I think.
Regardless,
and I'd love to do an episode about all the cut content because there's mods restoring some of it. It's really interesting.
Oh, mods restore. Okay.
Yeah.
Now you've got my attention. Regardless, it's a hilarious example of the rustic charm of an early 2000s RPG.
Yep.
Obviously, as you know, someone who I did not grow up playing this game.
I didn't either. So
I didn't start gaming until like 12 years after this.
Yeah.
So it's fun to go back and you know see the way that it used to be.
Next, I want to talk about we get the revelation, and we knew this sort of, but we have the Jedi Academy on Dantooine is nothing more than a crater that echoes with the ghosts of dead Jedi, and we find out the same that the Coruscant Temple is basically deserted.
I feel like we knew that already. Did we not?
We knew that the Jedi had vanished. We didn't know what happened
to what
to
extent.
the temples.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, yeah, no, it's so terrible. The Jedi and Dantooine were gone. They were so useless in the first game. It's just so like I don't know if you remember the Jedi Council in the first KOTOR game. They didn't do shit. They were relying on this amnesiac who they knew who he was. This fucking Padawan. This like Jedi who left like 10 years ago and went to live in the bowels of Kashyyyk, this redeemed Padawan, and a few other non-Jedi to save the entire galaxy.
I mean, I feel like the whole sit on cushions thing that never quite like changes. And like there is some truth to that, the robot chicken thing.
It there is, and you know what also didn't change apparently, Jacob?
What's that?
So Kreia is explaining how why a lot of Jedi gave up their mantles after the conclusion of the Jedi Sith War, the Jedi Civil War, rather.
Okay, yeah.
And it's because the Jedi Order missing the phrase here. What is that phrase?
They declined.
They
lost their way.
lost their way.
I was baited into
Fucking
it.
back.
Baited into it. We're so back.
And
we're so back.
We're still back. And I was thinking that, like, I remember pausing when I heard that revelation, and I just being like, my first intention was to laugh because, come on, are you seriously saying that 3,000 years ago a scenario exactly like this happened and those Jedi fucking did it again? But then thinking about it, I'm like, no, that makes sense.
I mean, that's kind of the Jedi's whole.
Like there's a really great, like, those who don't remember history are doomed to repeat it thing in there. Like, I really actually think that's interesting that the Jedi didn't study their own history, that they didn't learn the lessons by the time of the prequel trilogy, in the Legends continuity. That is.
Well, I mean, I feel like that's sort of part of the nature of the Jedi. This, what Tython they kind of start 20,000 BBY ish, 25. So like that's kind of like the at least in Legends we have this long time. That's sort of in the nature of the Jedi. It seems like where they they go through phases of being really awesome, really mission driven, and really dedicated, and then over time kind of becoming very complacent.
I'll say this
overly
to you.
dogmatic, and then you know what I mean. Like
I'll say this to you. This was the first Jedi purge in Legends.
Okay.
The Legend continuity. The Order had existed for about 20,000 years without a purge.
Okay.
Then they go about another 4,000 without a purge. Then they go another 150 without a purge, but that's besides the point. But that may seem like nothing to us just because we're looking at it from a bird's eye view, but that's a long time. 21,000 years without a purge. And then even 4,000 years without a purge. That's the lest we forget, the United States so famously celebrated 250 years this year.
With that being said, though, a purge is not the only way to measure this. Like there were other ups and downs where you had the Jedi basically becoming warlords and creating Force dynasties, leading up to the Battle of Rusan with the last, was it the second? What was that called? The Second Great Sith War with Bane.
It was just called
there's so many. There's
called
anyway. Yeah. So
I think it was just called the Jedi Sith War.
The one with Bane. About 1,000 years BBY.
The one with the lords of the lords of the Jedi and the lords of the Sith.
I think that's another great example. That's another great example, not a purge, but it's an example of the Jedi kind of having this cyclical thing where they find themselves in a weird spot, really weird spot. Luckily, they don't get completely purged this time, but then you have the Rusan reformations, you have the Jedi, you have that High Republic era coming after that, where
which isn't the canon continuity, but still.
That canon continuity, but like, I guess I am, but like for like they.
But we know in canon, Bane was there was Jedi Sith War and Bane survived.
Yeah, that is a great, example of the Jedi kind of learning from their mistakes. Ultimately, some of those kind of turn out to be the wrong lessons, but I think that's like how history works. Like a lot of times, people, societies, governments, organizations. Groups take some of the right lessons and some of the lessons are the wrong lessons. And you look back on them going, shit, we should have done that.
Yeah. Finally, Kreia firmly proclaims that Jedi have given up their way of life, are Jedi no longer, and that it's useless to attempt to help them. Yeah, okay, Kreia. Like, cool. Like, Kreia is seemingly trying to actively convince a protagonist in a Star Wars story not to be a protagonist in a Star Wars story, which is
a little bit
maddening to say the least. And we talked about silence and emptiness in the in the last episode, and we have a cousin of that in this episode, which is apathy, which is the feeling that nothing can change, that nothing can get better, that things will mostly proceed and going on as is, and that's mostly fine, even if it isn't.
Yeah. I mean, Kreia has 3 different things going on.
Only
She
3?
In this instance, she has that sort of, she's telling him this is the path, the destiny, all roads lead to Rome. She's also telling Meetra, it won't matter, it won't be enough. The Sith are rising, whatever we do will probably fail. And then she's also then she's also like, don't take the path. Like, you don't want to. Like, are you sure you want to do this? So it's like, clearly she's up to something, I think.
There's also something else that I want you to consider, and I'm not gonna, again, I'm gonna try and say this without spoiling anything. Kreia and Meetra, it's established, have this special relationship informed by their bond.
Yes.
As we gather more crew members, like we did in KOTOR 1, I want you to notice how Kreia sets herself apart from those people, and relentlessly, as she does, with Atton, inevitably talk shit about them. And then I want you to think of Darth Treya's abilities in Galaxy of Heroes, if you can remember them. We have
Isolate. That's the big one.
That is the big one,
That's
isn't
the
it?
big one. And then
That's the one
she has some cool shit.
She has some cool shit, but that's the big one.
Yeah.
And I want you to think about how her leader ability punishes attacking out of turn, assisting each other. I'm just planting that seed there. So, yeah. Anyway.
Gaming imitates art.
Ludonarrative resonance. That's what it is.
But what if art imitates gaming?
Yeah. Anyway.
Ludonarrative resonance.
Yeah. That's that. Finally, I have one more thing, which is Kreia tells Meetra that quote, in the end you may find you have nothing left to sacrifice, which perfectly sets up a response provided by many of the dialogue options here, which is one of your favorite lines, I know, from Star Wars Rebels, of like you have no one else to die for you. That's right. I have nothing left to fear. And that, having nothing to lose means I'm truly free, which is the answer to this whole moral quandary. Meetra has to put everything on the line to defeat the Sith, or the galaxy drowns in darkness. Those are the stakes, Kreia. I wrote, get on board or fuck off. Mostly just fuck off.
Yeah. Meetra, I mean, Kreia is right about one thing. Meetra does seem to be bound to be, like you said, sort of this prophetic figure.
Wait, say that first thing again.
Kreia was right about that one thing.
The negotiations were short. I don't know why. It's just the way you said that reminded me of that. But anyway.
I thought just the fact that I said that ticked you off.
No. I mean, it could have, but it could have.
Yeah.
But yeah. We talked about I'm looking at my notes, not the destination that matters. It's the journey. Look at
that's like the most that's like the most normal thing she says in the entire game.
Truly it is.
To this point.
It's the first thing that she said that I genuinely agree with her for. Look at my highlighted text here.
The entire beginning of this game is just a series of heartbreaking. The worst person just made a great point.
Over and over again.
Kreia does make some great points here.
And so Meetra's exiled. We found out they had their lightsaber taken away from them, which makes sense.
Atton has compared to the original trilogy and even the prequel era, it's amazing like how much knowledge someone like Atton has about the Jedi.
Well, they were more prevalent until a few years ago. They were more prevalent in the galaxy. Like they were a thriving, institution-ish until they fell. But
but even
they were like they were central to the galaxy as the Republic at one point.
I just think it's cool. I think it's cool that we get a story in which
that
compared to a lot of the originals, it's like the Jedi aren't shrouded in
and
mystery.
we don't have to hear people saying laser sword.
Yeah, like the average person actually has some inkling of what a Jedi is or what they're about.
How that works. Yeah.
That's completely different from anything that happens in the
original and it's great because we establish that knowledge by what he doesn't know. We establish like where the limits of his knowledge end.
Yeah.
But it's another thing that's fascinating to me. You get to pick in game what color Meetra's lightsaber. No, not what color. What like what orientation Meetra's
Yeah,
lightsaber was.
double-bladed, single-bladed, yeah.
And like
fun.
that doesn't matter, but you get to pick it anyway.
It's fun. It's fun.
It's
yeah.
fun.
It's
like,
super fun.
yeah.
Yeah, super fun.
Anything you have about these conversations we have aboard the Ebon Hawk before we land on Telos and get into all sorts of hijinks?
Let's get arrested on Telos for no reason.
Let's get arrested. I will defend. Okay, here's the thing. I went on an arc with the TSF. The TSF.
Okay.
Look. Paragus goes boom.
Yes.
One ship tracks
Yeah.
flying.
What
away
are
from
you
them.
supposed to think?
What are
I don't
they
blame. I
supposed
don't
to
blame
think?
them.
What are they supposed to think? I don't blame them, and that's the last time I'm going to say that.
I don't blame them, but I don't blame them. But the comedic timing of like, hey, welcome to Telos.
You're under arrest.
Welcome to Telos. We're gonna put you in house arrest now.
Yeah,
It's too good not to.
yeah.
It's too good not to comment on it.
Telos, I found out, is barely canon, mentioned in the Rogue One prequel novel Catalyst. But it'd be fun to get more stories about it. We're not going down to Telos immediately because the surface was devastated, specifically by Admiral Saul Karath, who you may remember from KOTOR 1, on the orders of his superior, Darth Malak. So they devastated the planet of Telos during the Jedi Civil War, which has made it basically uninhabitable. And so everybody's living on Citadel Station, which is a space station that orbits the planet.
Yeah.
We have a planet that we went to, Paragus, which is just basically all death, to a planet that died and is trying to be resurrected.
Barely not dead.
We have these like cycles of life and death, like as a theme in this game, which is really great.
Yeah.
I
think the power to wipe out life so completely is a huge theme in the KOTOR games. You know.
Yeah, specifically with a certain villain, and maybe a certain super weapon. Maybe.
I'll make you mad. Let's move on.
What do you think I'm talking about?
Revenant of the Starforge.
No, I was talking about Nihilus.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sure, yeah. I mean,
and another.
He is the super weapon.
No, there's actually another.
Oh, there is
super
another
weapon.
one. Oh, no, don't spoil.
I'm not going to say that. There was another one.
But I mean, I think it's pretty like. I don't have too much to say about the TSF itself. I do. I really thought that the
motherfuckers.
I really thought that the assassin was gonna like become part of the crew. I was surprised.
Oh,
the guy who sneaks in and like.
Yeah, no, they just killed that fucker. We don't even know his name. First of all,
bro, stop talking about your skills and just kill them. Like, he says the word skills, like you're no match for my skills.
But
he'll be no match for my skills.
But what if he's Leonesan and he does have a very particular set of skills?
Maybe
skills that would be very useful for people like. Anyway,
I don't know.
TSF,
skills to
what are you doing? You have prisoners, and you managed to slip up so badly that you let an assassin in to try and kill one of them.
Yeah, man. Look, man.
Like they were just responsible for the destruction of an entire like mining facility, and you couldn't get like better guards for them. What is going on?
I mean, look. They're a planetary security force. They're like they stop shoplifting.
It's really bad. It's just really bad at their jobs. Anyway, also I similarly threw shade at that one assassin. Now this motherfucker thinks he's better than a Mandalorian. Dude, there wasn't some guy with a pistol or exchange wars, were there? There's a reason they called it the Mandalorian Wars.
There's a reason
like,
they call it the
Jesus
Mandalorian
Christ.
Wars.
Yeah. So then they're resting in that room.
Yeah.
We get the Ithorians and
let's go.
Lorca.
My favorite species.
Our first major plot line where you got to make some long-lasting decisions. You know, if you remember, if you destroyed a facility on Manan and KOTOR 1, that have consequences in that medical supplies, because that was a Kolto plant, would become pricier as the game went on, because you just destroyed a huge supply of Kolto.
That is a great gameplay mechanic.
Yeah, it's very good. Planetary surface restoration is really interesting to me.
Yes.
And I think we saw a little bit, like a hint of it in canon with Bo-Katan in season 3 of The Mandalorian, seeing that there was a little bit of hope in that plant life could still grow on Mandalore. And I'd love to see how would they even go about doing that, and what would be involved, and how do the politics play out on that, and like a bit deeper than this game, which is group of from a diaspora wants restoration versus corporation doesn't. Like, let's get a little deeper than that. Like, it's a great morality thing, but like it's a bit simplistic to say the least. But that's fine. So yeah, guess who's back? Back again. Zerka's back. You don't need to tell a friend.
Yeah.
You don't need to tell friends. They know.
Yeah.
These pieces of shit.
I love the idea that a corporation in Star Wars lasts for multi-millennia. That kind of
It's been 5 years since KOTOR 1.
Oh, Zerka exists in the prequel original era. They're manufacturing shit.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
they,
okay,
like-
right. Yeah, you're right.
They're
They're
a
not less.
corner-
They're less in Master and Apprentice, right?
Yeah. It's
Okay.
not like talked. I mean,
Yeah, they're less big in the
Yeah,
galaxy.
it's not talked about, but like,
big because you made it your lifelong mission in the 2 KOTOR games of repeatedly handing their asses to them.
yeah. I mean, that is basically what Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan do in Master and Apprentice. But like, I mean, you go in any of the canon like visual dictionary reference books, like
have
it'll be
Zerka
filled
there.
with it'll be filled with things
Yeah.
manufactured by Zerka. Anyways, please continue.
Anyway, riffing on a Joseph Scrimshaw had this great line about the Phantom Menace and like saying, well, like this is like if Amazon had representation in the Senate and just the U.S. Senate and decide to blockade like a state.
Yeah,
or something like that.
Colorado.
Yeah.
No more food for you, Colorado. You pissed us off. I know, it's insane.
Riffing on that, this is like if there were indigenous tribes, or not indigenous tribes because they're Ithorians are not indigenous to Telos, but they're humanitarian efforts trying to restore the Amazon rainforest after the mass deforestation that's gone on there.
Yeah.
And then they were meeting resistance from Amazon, like the company.
I know it's not as far fetched as it might seem.
Yeah, and
It's
again,
really not as far-fetched.
maybe there is some smaller versions of that going on. I will freely admit that I'm not an expert in South American politics, but
I am very interested in. I wish we got a little more of the lore of the Ithorians, or a group of Ithorians coming to a new planet and forming a quasi-religious practice around trying to restore its biosphere.
It's really
That is
interesting,
fascinating to me.
and leading into that, I was going to say that there's something that I was talking about, which is I really love how Chodo Habat and his beliefs around the Force fit very nicely into our canon idea of like there are all these different perspectives of viewing the Force, and like it's not just Jedi, Sith, and then Force wielders who wield lightsabers in the middle. There are all these different perceptions, like Chodo Habat would fit very well into the Church of the Force or something like that. That we know Lor Santeca was involved in.
Yeah.
Like it's really well woven into there. Like there are a lot of stuff in Legends that wouldn't fit nicely into canon, but the KOTOR games mostly do pretty decent. Yeah, and again, it's not. There's no larger force-based organization or political project. He's just the spiritual leader for an Ithorian diaspora on Citadel Station. That's it. There's no larger anything. He's just chilling. He senses that Meetra is damaged, which
that's a surprise tool that can help us later.
Yep, a lot of foreshadowing.
Not going to say anything about that other than
foreshadowing,
it's
a lot
a
of building
surprise tool
layers
that'll
of
help us
mystery.
later. Yeah, and one other thing I want to say about Chodo Habat is I don't know if you remember in KOTOR 1, a friend pointed out to me that there are a few like stock vocal lines that they use for alien languages.
Yeah.
But one of their favorites from like a lot of the Huttese or other like land animals, like because the Selkath had different stuff, but was dooby doof blah blah.
They dooby doof blah blah.
Which when I heard that for the first time, I was like, I was Leo pointing. I was like, yeah, doobie doo blah blah. Play that again.
We are so back.
Doobie
It
doo
is
blah
also
blah.
interesting that the Ithorians are speaking Huttese. They're not speaking Ithorian. That's also
Maybe they're supposed to be speaking Ithorian.
Maybe,
in the
I don't
games.
know.
I don't know.
It does not sound like
interesting
Ithorian at all.
that the vocabulators they're using are not auto-translating, like the ones we see on Makshai's in Book of Boba Fett.
Are they using vocabularies? I didn't see that.
Vocabulators?
Yeah.
I mean, they have to, because how else would you understand them?
I mean, they don't have like the same type of mouth.
Like, aren't those like the those fucking things around them? Or no, I guess that was just his coat or something.
I don't.
I guess
see
they're not
anything,
using
though.
them. So how are we understanding? I guess I guess we just have.
This is
translators
so
or
far
something
back
like
in
that.
like
Yeah,
the lore. The lore on Ithorians was probably not very well developed at all.
Probably not. Anyway, so nice to see the return of Doobie Doof, blah blah. Just very funny. Yeah. So go right. So is there anything else you want to say about the Ithorians and Choda Habat and those folks, those lovely little folks over there?
No, I think it's sort of indicative of Meetra's character that even though they are, sort of kind of lost parts of their own mind, they're locked out of parts of their own mind. You know what I mean? Like it's really a, kind of person washed up on the beach with amnesia or partial amnesia kind of trope. Despite that, we have this sense, at least with the canon playthrough, with the story, we see this sense of what kind of person they innately are, where they're like, I will help you, I will help your cause.
Yeah.
I see that you are trying to alleviate pain and alleviate suffering. That is my on a personal level, deeper than Jedi, deeper than Sith, on a personal level.
Meetra
That's a light
is
sider,
through
that
the
is my
light side
mission.
path, which is the path we know that they take in canon,
Yeah.
is finding a way back from the detachment, from the apathy, from all of that to
Yeah.
connect with people, not as a Jedi or as an emissary of the Jedi, but just
Yeah.
as a person who feels things,
Yeah.
which I think is beautiful in its own way.
I'm kind of curious to see what would happen if Meetra took the dark side path, was just like, hell yeah, let's make some money with Zerka.
Yeah, I mean, I think it pisses a lot of people off. Anyway,
I'm sure it does.
so after we meet with Choda Habat, there's a droid rep from Zerka right on schedule. Zerka thought that the Ithorians would threaten to reveal Meetra's location to the exchange if they didn't work with them, which may have been like alternate dialogue, like endings. Like maybe they would have threatened that if you had chosen different dialogue options.
Yeah.
But maybe they wouldn't have.
I mean, that's just insinuated by, isn't that only insinuated by the sorry, continue.
I was gonna say
Next up.
it is a great bit of commentary though about how Zerka sees everything as a zero-sum game.
Yeah.
Like they can't conceive of the concept that they're just helping each other, that they're doing like it's not a threat, it's a you're doing something for us and we'll help you with something on your spiritual, like they can't conceive of that. And I think that's really that's a really great bit of commentary right there. Anyway, but yeah, so anything specific about the Zerka before we go on to do some espionage a little bit?
Let's do some spycraft.
Before that, though, we have that commentary from Kreia. Take the greatest Jedi Knight, strip away the Force, and what remains, they rely on it, depend on it more than they know. And that's where you misunderstand Kreia, as I said in my notes. The Force is not a power, it's energy. It's the cycles of life and death, it's nature. It's the interactions between life forms. It's what literally powers the Star Wars universe. Take away the Force, and it's not just that the Jedi is gone, it's everything. Take away the Force and a life form, not just highly Force sensitive, but any life form dies, period. And then I said, which we a little talked about, I'm like, however, I'm taking this from the Lucas Filoni canon perspective, and I understand that Legends diverge from that sometimes. But even if we're looking at it from a Legends perspective, if the Jedi would be nothing up without the Force, then why are you still using it, Kreia? Oh, it doesn't matter because you still think you're better than everybody else. Got it.
I mean, I think if she thinks the Jedi are nothing without the Force, isn't that all the more reason for her to use the Force to accomplish her goals? Like, I understand that.
I understand where you're coming from, and it's not that you're wrong. It's just that you're missing some things.
Fair enough.
Kreia believes that it's not just the Jedi who Kreia believes the Force hampers. Kreia believes the Force hampers everyone.
Oh.
So, and we'll find that out. But I don't think it's too much of a spoiler to say that. But Kreia believes the Force hampers everybody. Kreia believes the Force hampers the galaxy, not realizing that it is literally the only thing that allows this specific galaxy to exist. Anyway, let's do some espionage. I will say this is one time I'm grateful for the cutscene montage's skipping of gameplay because it's difficult as hell and tedious to navigate the different modules on board Citadel Station. You have no idea. It's like on Terrace when you're just wandering around places. They make the distances so arbitrarily long that it's just like a pain in the ass. And I'm glad they skipped that.
I do remember that as one of my less than favorite parts.
But before that, they're freed from prison and they go to get their ship. Oh,
that shit got stolen.
TSF, you had the ship impounded after somebody tried to kill these people, and you motherfuckers got it stolen?
Facepalm.
Are you serious?
Just
You
absolute facepalm.
Really awful at your jobs.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
What is going on with you guys? Jesus Christ.
They're just bad, bro. They just don't.
I want you to deadpan read this line.
My defense of the TSF has vanished faster than a planet once Darth Nihilus gets its hands on it. Is Darth Nihilus an it?
I think it's technically a him, but like I think the pronouns are human and male,
entity.
but like that's the thing.
Darth Nihilus is not a person. Darth Nihilus is an entity. Darth Nihilus is an absence of satiation.
As soon as Darth Nihilus Darth Nihilus was a human once, but as soon as he became Nihilus and became the I don't think
it's over.
It's
You're something else at that point.
does Galactus have a gender? Does an ocean have a gender? You know, like that Nihilus is an it in my book. I'm sorry to force pronouns on somebody, but that's just true. Yeah, we pick the light side path. We're helping Ithorians protect the surface of Telos from predatory corporate influence. We choose that. We get some more details from Chodo Habat about what Meetra is going through. He says, it is as if you once felt the force flow through you, then it was torn away brutally and quickly. The echo comes from the hollows where it once flowed through you. And I started to wonder if that was what happened when Luke cut himself off from the force after exiling himself on Octo. Like, I wondered how that happened. Like, if somebody were to try and sense the force in Luke, what would they sense?
Like, he really, to that extent, really, wow.
He cut himself off from the force. That was the verbiage used. Like,
I mean, if he really means it, in that same sense of you can no longer experience the force. And
yet again, we
then wow, yeah.
And again, I want to say we return to the theme of darkness within absence rather than presence. Apathy, disconnection, removal of oneself from ideology and morals. I have this here. You are bold to make promises of healing while the world under your care burns and dies.
Dude, that's just
interesting that you care so much about Meetra to be against healing of their spirit. That's not suspicious at all, Kreia.
Dude,
not suspicious at all. That's not weirdly sociopathic.
Well, I think the force connection, she clearly wants to have Meetra under her control. That's what it seems like.
And I answer you that with 2 words. But why?
But why? I can't. I don't know why.
You're asking the right questions.
But
you're going down what the game wants you to think about.
Yeah. How mean-spirited you have to be to say that to a group of benevolent monks whose religion is based around trying to bring back like plants and flowers and birds to a planet's surface. Bro, I'm starting to see what you mean about Kreia. I really am. I really am.
There are so many times with this, especially when you're here, like right next to me, where like I have the sudden urge to do a Jim from The Office and just stare deadpan right into the camera.
Just be like, does he know?
Seriously, I'm like,
yes.
I'm like, y'all don't know. You don't know yet. You don't know anything about what's about to happen. It's great. So the Ithorians had a droid that was supposed to manage logistics of the restoration, but something happened to it. I wonder. So Chodo Habat wants Meetra and company to defend a second droid that's coming so that whatever happened first won't happen to his replacement. Before that happens, Chodo Habat says that Meetra carries a planet's worth of pain. And they do it because they have no choice, which is really damn good.
That
It's
is
just
beautiful.
really damn good.
A lot of the dialogue in this game is like really, really
Excellent
well-
thematic statement about
excellent,
this, about this
well-crafted.
character.
Some of it's kind of asinine, most of it
Yeah.
slaps.
They get to the port, the spaceport where they're the hangar where they're about to pick it up. We're about to pick up the droid. What do you know? Zerka goons are there, specifically those hired by the exchange.
Yeah.
They quickly find out such modifications are illegal on Citadel Station. Wait a second. Are you saying that to get what they wanted, the Zerka hired assassins who carried
Illegal
weapons? Say it ain't so.
Yeah. I mean, I think if they had tried to, I feel like they're almost implying like if they tried to kill us with legal weapons,
That would be fine.
it would be less bad.
It would be
We
less bad.
We would be mad, but we wouldn't be as mad. No, I mean,
And to the Telos Security Force, I say, are you starting to see why you suck so much?
they do not. What do they even do? This is literally the YouTube thumbnail DJ Khaled meme. What does he even do? Telos Security Force. What does he even do?
It's
You know, I don't.
And I want to say, to play a
Yeah.
little bit of devil advocate, I understand they're trying to this planet has all been forced on a space station, and like they're trying to restore the planet while dealing with competing interests.
Yeah.
Literally do anything.
They don't have the capacity for this.
They say they're investigating things at least 3 times, if not more, during the segment. What are your investigations going to end and actions going to happen, guys? Like, come on. What the fuck's going on with you guys? Surprise, surprise. Kreia does not approve of the alliance between Meetra and the Ithorians. Of course, I think she would have said the same thing had Meetra allied with Circa, because she don't approve of shit.
Yeah. I mean, I do think that a relationship built purely on money is a purely transactional relationship, which is what the Zerka one is less threatening probably to Kreia and her goals than a relationship of Meetra like finding a cause.
Are you
that
sure
they
about
wanna
that?
believe in. I don't know. Then I mean, every time you think about something logically, you have to go, well, then it's Kreia. Of course it's Kreia. Like, who knows if logic applies?
Are you absolutely sure about that?
I could be wrong. No, I could be very wrong.
I don't know for a fact that she disapproves of Zerka if you go with
Yeah.
that, but I think she does.
Yeah.
Because again, what's the name of her second
Yeah.
special in Galaxy of Heroes? Kreia, that is. Yeah.
Isolate. Yeah. I have to say, this is one of the few games, and I am not a huge story mode gamer, to be honest. But this is one of the few games that I've not even played, but just watched the cutscenes where I'm really genuinely have a burning curiosity of what happens if I take the dark side path.
There are places
It's
on
really
YouTube, I'm sure there are.
100% there are. But
Yeah.
it's well crafted, and I'm really appreciating that.
There will be more opportunities to do
As much as I
do
think
the
it kind
fuckery.
of maybe it gets a little glazed, as the kids say, there is a reason that some of the shine has stayed on these games all these years.
I'll give them credit. They have some interesting ideas in there.
Yeah.
Just wait until you meet the other supporting cast and tell me if you still think this way.
You're right. We won't count our chickens till they've hatched.
I
Won't count
like
chickens till they've
Bayoder.
hatched.
I'll say that. I like Bayoder, and I think we'll meet him pretty soon. Anyway, Jacob, do you have any other thoughts about this 45 minutes of Knights of the Old Republic to the Sith Lords?
Standing around on a ship and talking never felt so exciting.
So good. So
I'm
good.
really
so good.
curious to see what happens with the Ithorians and Zerka, and I'm really enjoying this. I think that
All
you know,
downhill from here. No, I'm joking.
it just has a finger on a pulse, this game, for those classic Star Wars themes of prophecy and choice and destiny. And I'm really excited to see where it goes from here. I have a lot of theories, a lot of predictions. I'm sure most of them will be wildly wrong. So here's to finding out.
So let me, I'm just going to read what I have on my notes. I said, keeping things stable, the second 45 minutes of Knights of the Old Republic 2, The Sith Lords, expands both the galaxy and the depth of the relationships and characters. Sion comes in, scares us enough, but then we escape and spend more time developing the characters and dynamics of both Atton, Rand, and Kreia, both cynical and self-serving in their own ways. We also further dive into how detached and listless Meetra has been since being exiled from the Order for reasons that we still have yet to find out. Meanwhile, we go from a dead world to a dormant one in Telos, whose society is desperately trying to regrow amidst corporate interference. A lot of good continuations of the themes of isolation, silence, and what it means to continue onward after life-altering events. Kreia starts to reveal her worldview and anger me to my bones, which I think I'm going to have a lot of fun with this season. Atton is a dick, grass is green. I do really enjoy the Ithorian Zerka conflict on Telos. It's a great moral crossroads at which to begin the game. Also, the TSF absolutely sucks at their job, and it's embarrassing to watch them fail this badly over and over again. Plus, we still have that mysterious figure who boarded and probably was the one who stole the Ebon Hawk waiting in the wings. A lot of really promising development in this section of Knights of the Old Republic 2. I think I remember who was the one who stole it and what they're up to. I'm obviously not going to say, but
We'll see.
I'm almost certain I know who it is. That's going to be it for this episode of Star Wars in the Galaxy. Next week, 1:30 to 2:15 of Knights of the Old Republic 2, we're going to be going, I believe, down to the surface of Telos next time. I'm pretty sure.
Sounds exciting. I'm up for that for sure.
In addition, wouldn't like to announce, and I know we just got back, but there's going to need to be a we're going to be back next week. The week after, we are going to be off, for I will be in Atlanta for my second year at Dragon Con, which I'm very excited for. And yeah, I'm gonna hopefully be hanging out with some of friends we've made who will be there. I know a whole bunch of people who will be there, and I'm very excited to see all of them and to have fun and hopefully win that trivia quiz. But I will mention after we're off on the week of on that next week on the week after next, we will be back the week after. But yeah, until then, you can listen to us everywhere you listen to your podcasts. You can follow us on BlueSky and Instagram and Threads at In a Galaxy Pod and the .bsky.social for BlueSky. You can follow me everywhere. My link tree is linktr.ee/_OGFan327. Epic Confrontations. Hopefully, by the time this is out, we will be on our way to posting Sheev Shield versus the Quiz Whalers. We have a little bit of a backup for Epic Confrontations, but after that, we should be on board, ready to go with our September match pretty soon after I get back from Dragon Con. And I think, unless there's anything else left to say, may the Force be with you.
Always.